this is our final financial application. It's probably the most straightforward one because it's just a matter of plugging some numbers in. So as you work this problem, I really encourage you to step back and think, is this a good way to manage risk? We'll talk some about it in class. Value at risk is used a lot in finance. At USAA, we used it quite extensively when I was there. You may have heard of probable maximum loss if you worked at USAA or work at USAA. Probable maximum loss is very similar to value at risk, really identical in terms of just how it's applied. I have some problems with value at risk that we'll talk about in class, but I do like it in certain circumstances. I do think it's a pretty powerful tool when used at the right time. So let's work through this problem. Again, this is very similar to the weighted average cost of capital and the economic value added. Do the calculations, get used to the calculations by applying. It will sink in a little more exactly what this particular tool is trying to accomplish, and then you can step back and say, hey, would I actually use this to manage a firm and managing risks? So what we need to do is set up the problem and what numbers do we need. So let's look at what we've been provided. Merkle has a proprietary trading desk. You don't have to really care about that. I can put anything in there. So I'm just using some jargon that you don't really know what the jargon is, but just some jargon from finance, from investing. Has a portfolio of currency derivatives. What is that? That's futures and forwards and swaps, but you don't need to know that. It's not important for this problem. It's valued at $1.5 billion notional amount. We might talk about notional amount in class, but that actually is not that important. What that's telling you, though, is your exposure. If the world changes, if currencies change, what is the value that's going to tell us our gains and loss? So a notional amount isn't the actual amount that you have invested, but it's how much your portfolio is going to move. So it's what we want to use. So we'll just call it the portfolio value. It can be notional amount, it can be the actual portfolio. There's so many different ways we could actually define that. We'll just say portfolio value. So that's a fine term. And we're going to put it in millions. So $1.5 billion is 1,500 million. It's dollars. So again, anytime you're using dollars, use the dollar sign. The operation has been given a daily risk budget. So we need a risk budget. We'll talk about the risk budget, but the risk budget is essentially them saying how much are we allowed to lose X percent of the time. We'll talk about that X percent of the time. But this is essentially the amount of exposure you're allowed to have in this portfolio at some low probability event. And our risk budget, $150 million. Whoops, went the wrong direction. $150 million. So this is in millions. This is in millions. So we usually use 2 M's for millions because 1 M usually means thousands. And so 2 M's would be 1,000, 1,000, or 1,000,000. So the next thing we have is the risk tolerance. Risk tolerance is really, really key here. So our risk tolerance is 0.3%. So what we're saying here with the risk tolerance of 0.3% is we are allowed, or let's boy, there's so many ways you can say this. So 0.3% of the time we should lose, or we can lose $150 million or more. I like to actually state it in the opposite direction, 99.7% of the time, because if you take +1 minus 0.003 or +1 minus 0.3%, you get 99.7% of the time. So 99.7% of the time, we want to lose no more than $150 million. So that's how you put those together. When I was at USAA, we used a 0.2%. and our risk budget was pretty huge, but it was a risk budget based on what credit ratings USAA wanted to have after a major serious event like a major hurricane or earthquake. So how much, you don't want to lose $150 million, but you know if you're in business, you have risk of losing money. So what we're saying here is what's the most we're willing to lose 0.3% of the time. Now where do we get that 0.3% of the time? You saw that in the notes and we'll talk about it in class. A lot of times for corporations it's tied to their credit ratings. Do they want to be single A rated, triple B rated? And that would somewhat dictate what risk tolerance they can have. If you want a high credit rating like AAA or AA, your risk tolerance will have to be very, very, very low. So let's do the inverse of the risk tolerance. So the inverse of risk tolerance, we just do equal 1 minus our risk tolerance. And that's that 99.7%. And so the next thing we need is the table value. What the table value says is, if you've studied statistics in max class and others, you've probably seen the normal table. What the normal table tells you is, in order to get to the distribution, we'll talk about this in class, you should have seen it in the class notes. What we're saying is how many standard deviations from the mean, if the mean's right in the middle, and the standard deviation, and we'll get the standard deviation up here, it's 4.3%. How many 4.3% do you need to move to the loss side of the distribution so that you're covering 99.7% of the distribution, you know, from that to the right, or 0.3% from that to the left? So when you add these two up, you get 100%. So the table value is very, very easy. We can use an Excel function is norm.s.inv, and you just go to the risk tolerance, the inverse risk tolerance, and you get 2.75. So essentially what we're saying is, given their risk tolerance, they're worried about a 2.75 sigma event, or a 2.75 standard deviation event. And that will equate with a risk tolerance of 0.3% or 0.997. You can state it either way. At USAA, we specified our risk tolerances as 0.2%, 0.1%. Banks normally go with the inverse. So if you looked up Goldman Sachs, their risk tolerance is 95%. So they do the inverse. So it just depends on the entity and how it's structured. But it's obvious to tell. If someone says their risk tolerance is 98%, they're doing this loss or less. We don't want to lose that much ever. If they say the risk tolerance is 2%, then they're saying that loss or more. So we're allowed to have that. So what they're saying is we're allowed to lose $150 million or more 0.3% of the time, or we want to lose no more than $150 million 99.7% of the time. So now what we can do is get the value at risk. And I like to do value at risk as VAR, and I like to show the risk tolerance in my value at risk. So let me set it up. I'll do the format the cells, and I'll do it as a subscript. I just like, anytime you do value at risk, I like to have the probability there so people know what your risk tolerance is. Okay, so how do we do this? So remember, the formula here is VAR equals the mean minus the number of standard deviations. That's what we got with that 2.75 times our standard deviation. All right, so I got to move this down. Sorry, I have to move this down. We need our standard deviation. I forgot to put that in there. You can see with this problem, it's 4.3%. Let me move it down one more time. The other thing we need is our expected daily return, or the mean. A lot of times when it's a daily distribution, the expected value is 0. If you were to forecast the U.S. stock market for tomorrow, your best guess would be the stock market will move 0%. On average, the U.S. stock market moves about 3 basis points or 0.0003, but your best guess for tomorrow is just to say 0. So on a daily basis, 0 is a good forecast. So how do we do this as a formula? So we do equal the mean minus 2.75 times the standard deviation, and that will be our VAR. Put that in percents. Let me put that over on the side here so you can see it. Let's do VAR in dollars. So how do we do it in dollars? Now, one thing I'll say about value at risk is we always state it in absolute terms. So I'm going to change this formula and put it over there. We know value at risk is a loss. It's always, just by definition, it's a loss. So we know it's a negative number. So like at USA's value at risk might have been $3 billion or 15% or however you want to state it. We didn't say it was negative $3 billion even though it's a loss. We just knew value at risk, we're talking about losses, so we know that it's a loss. So you state it in absolute terms. So let me put this over here, and so it's the absolute value of this formula. We do it in dollars. All we have to do is do the value at risk times our portfolio value, and there we see that our VAR in dollars is 177 million. 177 million. Let me get you the number back. 0.23. Then you do the assessment. So equal if our VAR is greater than our risk budget, we say fail, need to reduce risk. Otherwise we say risk is within limits. Or some other type. You don't have to use exactly those words, but those words are fine. And so they fail. They're taking too much risk. You have a few problems in this problem set. I know at least one of them they pass. And so there you have it. So again, I'm going to mark these, the ones that need an input. So those are the things that you input. So make sure when you do this for the other problems that you make sure you change each one of these numbers. I've had students miss the answer because they forgot to change the risk tolerance or they forgot to change the portfolio balance. So make sure you change that. Very straightforward problem. The question is, what does this firm do to reduce risk? And we'll talk a little bit about that in class. That's usually when you use things like derivatives, like options and futures and swapped contracts. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Hopefully we'll have time in the semester. I have a very strong opinion on how to manage risk using derivatives. I'm a major user of options. I think they're wonderful things. It's like buying insurance on investment portfolios, just like you buy insurance on a house or a car. So we'll talk some. In this problem, all you have to do in this problem is just say that they fail or they succeed. So I don't need more than that. Again, you just need this part of the problem. I don't need you to put all this stuff over here on the side. I just put that there for your benefit, just in case the video is going too fast. You can pause it and you can see what I did. So straightforward problem. Hopefully the others will be very straightforward. Just plug in the numbers.